Good evening, everybody. Thank you for hanging around. I know it's been a long day, but my name is Jesse Topper. I represent Bedford and Fulton Counties, 78th District in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, and I'm proud to have been elected our Republican leader for this next session. And first and foremost, I want to thank the members behind me that will make up our leadership team for the upcoming session. It's difficult in these days and in this climate to recruit people to enter the realm of public service. Everybody knows what they just saw in this last election cycle. It's difficult to ask people to step away from their lives and do something like this. So to take that an extra step and to demand more of their time and more of their work is certainly something that I don't take for granted. So I will introduce them. Our whip, Representative Tim O'Neill from Washington. The Appropriations Chairman, Representative Jim Struzzi from Indiana. Our caucus chair, Representative Martina White from Philadelphia. Our caucus secretary, Representative Clint Owlett from Tioga and Bradford. Our caucus administrator, Representative Cheryl Delosier from Cumberland. And our House Republican Policy Committee chair, David Rowe from Snyder, Union, Mifflin, and Juniata counties. We know that last Tuesday produced election results in Pennsylvania that were somewhat of a mixed bag for the folks you see in front of you. From a statewide level, we saw Republicans win with a message that promoted common sense, talked to the people of Pennsylvania about where they were in their lives. Unfortunately, we find ourselves still in the minority. We acknowledge that, but we also acknowledge that that message is one that is resounding not just with Pennsylvanians, but across the country. People don't have enough money in their pockets. At the end of the day, it's time for us to look at how we can give some of what we have back to the taxpayers who earned it in the first place. It's time that we evaluate the cost of everything from housing to energy. It's time we look at our workforce and our demographics in Pennsylvania that continue to go in the wrong direction. And so I think what this last election has shown is that the people are ready for this new day, this new dawn, this post-COVID malaise clearing and getting Pennsylvania and the rest of the country back to work. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
I mean, there's been a lot of turnover here, and I'm just sort of curious, like, how do you think you're going to be different from the old leadership team compared to, like, what's the biggest change that you think you can bring to the Republican caucus?
Well, I think the change that you'll see from this leadership team is a new energy. You do have some familiar faces, you have some new faces, and some of us who might be new to leadership are certainly not new to the roles. So we understand, I think, how to read the people of Pennsylvania and what they're asking for. I think we have a message that's going to coincide with that. We simply need to be able to articulate it in a clear and passionate way from the Northeast to the Northwest to the Southeast to the center parts of the state and all over. And I think you're going to see a lot of energy brought to bear by this team behind me.
Do you have any hopes for working with the Democrats in the majority in the House and seeing more of your policies come to fruition, seeing more things come from compromise with them?
Well, I think that we're not the only ones who read the tea leaves from the election results. I'm sure the leadership on the other side saw that as well. So I do believe there are going to be opportunities to work together for the common sense goals that will move this economy forward. I think the governor will see that. I know that our friends in the sister chamber in the Senate will see that, and we'll be happy to work with anybody to advance those goals.
I mean, the House and the Senate are both coming back exactly where things were last session. There's been a handful of turnover. For the most part, this is the same crew of folks legislating, and the last session was historically unproductive in many, at least by bills passed, and we could quibble over what that means, but is there any lessons that you think the whole body can take from what happened last session to have a more productive session coming forward?
Yeah, first of all, Steve, I would say that sometimes the less productive a government, sometimes the better off its citizenry. In terms of bills, I don't necessarily view that as the only thing that drives a productive government, but I do think what you have is a realization from all parties here of the direction that people want to go. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about vision. If all the parties have a similar vision, you'll get to a similar place. If they don't, you won't. But what we've seen is that what people are talking about in Pennsylvania around dinner tables, is they simply can't afford their current lifestyle. I was speaking to an employee at a convenience store in my district the other day, and she said, Jesse, you know, my family's always been middle class. and been comfortable. But right now, we're literally one bad thing away, one boiler breaking, one car breaking down away from being in real trouble. And that's a message that is around Pennsylvania and the country. And so we're here to fix that and work to move things in the right direction. And again, I think anybody who's willing to work on that will be there.
Do you guys have any specific legislative goals that you're going to take into the next 2 years? Like economy in general, but any specific ways you're going to tackle that?
Well, those will certainly be discussions over the next few weeks, but I will say that you've seen many of those proposals over the years from this caucus, including unleashing our potential in the energy sector and changing our demographics in terms of kids leaving. Right now in Pennsylvania, one of our biggest growing demographics are retirees. We need to make sure we keep young people here to work the jobs we need them to work to drive this economy. We've seen proposals like that. I think you'll continue to see them in this session. Anything else? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.